It's 2:47 in the afternoon. An hour ago, you were fine. Now your eyelids feel like they've got weights on them. The screen is starting to blur, and you've read the same sentence 3 times without a single word landing. You're not bored. You're not lazy. You were sharp this morning, and now you're useless. And it happens every single day at almost exactly the same time. So you fight it. More coffee. A sugary snack. Just push through. And it works for about 20 minutes. Then, somehow, you feel even worse than before. You blame the lunch, or getting older, or just not being an afternoon person. But none of those is the real story. Here's the thing that changes how you'll see this forever. Your afternoon crash is not a willpower problem. It's biology, and it's scheduled. Your body has an appointment with exhaustion every single afternoon, and it keeps that appointment whether you like it or not. And here's the part that surprises everyone. It happens even if you skip lunch completely. So, it is not just the food. There are actually 4 separate forces converging on you at once. A kind of perfect storm that hits around 3 p.m. Once you see all 4, you'll know exactly which ones you can beat, and which single one you just have to ride out. Let's break it down. Start with the one nobody can escape, your body clock, the circadian rhythm that runs everything on a roughly 24-hour cycle. You already know it controls your sleep at night. But it doesn't have just one low point in the day. It has 2. The big one is the middle of the night, around 2 to 4 a.m., when you're in your deepest sleep. But there's a second, smaller dip, built into the exact same rhythm in the early afternoon, roughly 1 to 3 p.m. It's like a mini night, quietly scheduled into your biology every single day, right in the middle of your working hours. During that window, your core body temperature actually drops slightly by around half a degree, and a small drop in body temperature is one of your body's own built-in signals for sleep. At the same time, your internal alertness signals quietly dialed themselves down. This is exactly why lab studies find this dip even in people who didn't eat anything and had no idea what time it was. So before food or coffee even enters the picture, your clock has already scheduled a slump. This is the one force you can't delete. You can only work with it. Now stack the second force on top. A molecule in your brain called adenosine. From the second you wake up, adenosine starts building up in your brain a little more every single hour you're awake. Think of it as sleep pressure, a tank that slowly fills all day long. The longer you're awake, the fuller it gets. It's what eventually makes you sleepy at bedtime, the tank finally full, pressing you toward sleep. But by early afternoon, you've already been awake 6, 7, 8 hours, and that tank is well over half full. So right as your circadian dip arrives, adenosine is near a daily high, quietly pressing down on you. 2 forces, the exact same moment. The clock says, slow down, and the pressure says sleep. They land together, and that overlap in the mid-afternoon is not a coincidence. It's the design. Third force, cortisol. That's your morning alertness hormone, highest right after you wake up. But cortisol is designed to fall across the day on a predictable schedule, high in the morning, lower as the hours pass. By mid-afternoon, it's dropped a long way from its morning peak, often by half or more. So the very hormone that gave you that crisp morning energy has quietly bottomed out by 3 p.m. Clock dipping, pressure peaking, and now your alertness hormone at a low. That's 3 forces, all lined up. And now the 4th force, the one you actually control the most, your lunch. Here's the key point everyone gets wrong. Lunch does not cause the dip. Remember, the dip happens even with no lunch at all. But the wrong lunch pours fuel on the fire that's already burning. Eat a big, refined carb lunch, a sandwich, fries, a soda, a pile of pasta, and your blood sugar spikes up fast. Your body answers that big spike with a big surge of a hormone called insulin, sent out to clear the sugar away. And that surge often overshoots, dropping your blood sugar down below where it even started. It's called a reactive dip. Low blood sugar means low fuel reaching your brain, which shows up as drowsiness, fog, and a craving for even more sugar. So, a heavy carbed lunch drops its own crash right on top of the 3 biological ones. Now, it's a full pileup, and most people make it worse with the one tool they instinctively reach for: caffeine. Here's what caffeine actually does. It doesn't remove adenosine, and it doesn't add any energy of its own. It just blocks the docks where adenosine parks. So for a while, your brain can't feel the sleep pressure. But the adenosine is still building the entire time, piling up behind the blockade, waiting. When the caffeine wears off, often right around mid-afternoon, all that backed-up adenosine floods the docks at once. That's the caffeine rebound, an even sharper crash than if you'd never had the coffee at all. The fix people reach for is often the accelerant. So put it all together. The perfect storm. A circadian dip, peak adenosine, low cortisol, a blood sugar crash, and a caffeine rebound, all converging around 3 p.m. That's why it feels like hitting a wall. It was never one thing. It's 5 things landing at the same moment. And it's exactly why willpower doesn't work. You cannot out-discipline your own biology on a schedule. But here's the good news. Of those 5 forces, 4 of them you can actually change. Only the circadian dip is truly fixed. The rest are yours to fix. So, here's how to beat it, in order of impact. Fix 1. And it's the biggest lever you have. Change your lunch. Trade the refined carbs for protein, fiber, and healthy fats. A balanced lunch releases its energy slow and steady, instead of a spike and a crash, and you remove one whole force from the storm. Fix 2. Take a 10-minute walk after you eat. Light movement pulls sugar out of your blood and blunts the spike before it can turn into a crash. Fix 3, and it's badly underrated. Get outside into bright light in the early afternoon. Daylight pushes back against the circadian dip and sharpens you up right when you need it most. Even a few minutes helps. Fix 4. Get ahead of the caffeine trap. If you use coffee, have it earlier and cap it by around 2 p.m. Late caffeine doesn't just set up the rebound. It wrecks the sleep that would prevent tomorrow's crash in the first place. Fix 5. If you can swing it, a short nap. 10 to 20 minutes. No longer just enough to bleed off some of that adenosine pressure. Keep it short though. Go past 20 minutes and you wake up groggier than before. And there's a clever trick. The coffee nap. Drink a coffee, then immediately nap for about 15 minutes. You wake just as the caffeine kicks in, and the nap has cleared some adenosine, a double hit of alertness. And the deepest fix of all actually happens the night before. Real, solid sleep. If you wake up already low, your afternoon never stood a chance. Poor sleep means you start the day with the adenosine tank already half full, so the crash comes earlier and hits harder. So, a good night's sleep is the quiet foundation sitting underneath every other fix. A couple of honest notes. For most people, this afternoon dip is completely normal biology. It is not a sign that anything is wrong with you. But if yours is severe and daily, and it comes with loud snoring, morning headaches, or you're genuinely nodding off at your desk, that can point to something like sleep apnea or a blood sugar issue worth a real check with a doctor. Nothing here is medical advice. So go back to 2:47 p.m., eyelids heavy, rereading that same line for the 4th time. You now know it was never laziness. It was a scheduled meeting of 5 biological forces, and most of them you can move. Fix the lunch. Walk it off. Step into the light. Time your coffee. Sleep well. And when the true circadian dip comes anyway, stop fighting it. Ride it, and it passes. The crash was never a flaw in you. It was a pattern nobody ever explained. And a pattern, you understand, is a pattern you can finally beat. Now you know exactly what's happening at 3 p.m. and exactly what to do about it.